With me here in Celje, Rick Simpson and Daniela Simpson this time, both of you. Otherwise, you live in Zagreb, in Croatia?
Yes, we live in Zagreb since November 2013. When Rick came back from Canada after he spent a few months here, and so he decided to stay in Europe.
You met in all those years probably so many people being helped by cannabis.
Because it works so well on different things like cancer, multiple sclerosis, arthritis. You know, I've even treated schizophrenics very successfully. You know, so there's almost no end to the ways this medicine can be used. And it's so beneficial and harmless.
I mean, after the doctors discovered the endocannabinoid system, that should have been the end of all the debate, whether cannabis is medicine or not. And it's really so frustrating, to be honest, to see that this medicine is not recognized still in so many countries around the world. And we know that it's beneficial for epilepsy, for multiple sclerosis, for Alzheimer, better than a painkiller, than for PTSD, cancer. There are so many different diseases. Again, it's because of our endocannabinoid system. One of the basic human rights is right to health. Who can say that you cannot use this as a medicine if you want to? This is something that was nature provided for us.
It's the same as I've always said, no one has the right to stand in front of anyone and tell them that they are prohibited from using this plant as a medicine. Because all through history, that's what it was.
But you're saying this, Rick, for 25 or more years. Are you a little bit disappointed that nothing really changes the way it should?
I'm very disappointed that, you know, this hasn't progressed much more quickly. I mean, back in 2004 when I put up the website, I thought within a year, 2 years, because, you know, all people had to do, we told them how to make the medicine, we told them how to, you know, to take their dosages. So all people had to do was make the medicine and find out for themselves. And of course, as time went on, you know, millions of people now worldwide have done just that. But our governments have been so corrupted by the big money that they just do, you know, what the rich elite tell them to do. And it's in the best interest of the rich elite to keep the cannabis plant prohibited. You know, that way they can maintain control over us and they can keep emptying our pockets with their false medicine and all the rest of this nonsense that they do. And, you know, I think it's time that we all became a little less politically correct and start speaking our damn minds. You know, start telling the world the truth. Scream it if you have to. I mean, the human race has no damn future. If we don't start utilizing, you know, like the cannabis plant to save ourselves, what future do we have? You know, more poison industries, more toxins, more sickness. You know, there's no future for our children, for God's sakes. Cannabis gives us a future. And no one has the right to stand in our way of using this plant, and that's what we should tell any politician, police officer, I don't care who they are.
It's very important actually to make changes in your own community first. And for example, in 2014, November, we visited Chile because Rick got an invitation to give a lecture at Expo Beat. And in Chile we met Ana Maria Gazmuri and her husband Nicolas. They started Foundation Daya because she had a very good experience when she made the oil for the first time and gave this to her friend's child who had epilepsy. And when she saw this amazing results, she decided to start this foundation. She decided, that's it, I'm just going to fight for this plant. And back then, in 2014, in November, we visited them in the place where they were growing. At that time they had a license from the Chilean government to grow cannabis for 200 patients. Now it's a huge project.
At that time, 200,000 people were marching the streets.
Yeah, this is the story that we are repeating both of
I think that's the way how to show the human power.
Perfect example. That's why we are repeating this over and over again, because it's amazing. So, I mean, people, we have the power, but if we think that we don't have the power to make change in our society, then we will not have the power.
Just imagine, you know, I mean, if you take, from what I understand, practically all or almost all the cancer patients in this country are either on the oil or they're looking for it. You know, what would happen if you took all of those patients these cancer patients and people that had used it for all different types of illnesses. What would happen if, 50 or 40 or 50,000 people got together, right in Ljubljana and started marching? You think the government might pay attention? That's what it takes, people, enormous numbers of people, and show the government your outrage. There is no science to back up what they're doing, but there's plenty of science to back up that cannabis is the best medicine on this planet. And again, it follows the Hippocratic Oath. And that is something people seem to forget these days. But the Hippocratic Oath is the basis of medicine, and it states, first do no harm, and it also states that I shall not use poison. Now, when you look at what doctors are doing today, that's all they seem to be giving people. Especially when you look at chemo and radiation, that's nothing but poison.
Think of this psychotropic effect of THCs. Why do we fear this effect in this society?
Well, because of the propaganda we've been fed. Getting high is the most horrible thing that can happen to you, which is total nonsense. THC, yes, THC can get you what they call high, but it doesn't do any harm. You don't become addicted to it. And it's not just about getting high. THC is very effective in the treatment of cancer, and it also has a wide variety of other medical values. But today the governments are going on CBD, we're allowing CBD. Well, this is nonsense.
Yeah.
The extracts that I used to produce in Canada, the extracts that gave this medication its reputation, they were made from the most powerful indica strains possible that were 20% or more THC. And all of these strains, when you looked at the bud material, the resin contained all the different cannabinoids. It wasn't just THC, it contained CBD, CBN, CBG, and there's over 100 different, well over 100 different cannabinoids. So each strain contains different levels of these cannabinoids. Now, that's the reason I've always said, the medical values from one strain to another can vary. But luckily for us, for the most part, what I've seen, the strong sedative indicas are very effective in the treatment of cancer. But I've always had the best results by growing like 4 or 6 or 8 different indica strains, different strains, and then mixing the extracts from these strains. And that's where I got the best results. And I also had wonderful results by simply taking like mother plants and stressing them. Like I used to take plants, mother plants, and I'd keep them alive there was one there I kept alive for about 1.5 years. She got a great big stalk on her. She was in it was in a pretty good sized pot, but it was just like a great big round green ball. And you could go in there and take 500 clones or cuttings off that plant in one sitting. But, as a plant, of course I was stressing it by taking so many clones from it, but also when it got root bound, I would take it out and I would trim some of the outer roots all off and some of the plant or the growing medium, and then I would repot it. But what I started noticing, when I did these things, like the plant would look like it was going to die for about a week, but then all of a sudden the leaves would come back up, and what I noticed was that the cuttings kept getting stronger, much stronger. And the first time I did this, I started with a strain that would only be classified as being mediocre. It was nothing special. Within a year, it was so powerful that most people couldn't smoke it. But this is what I used to make medicine from. So this stuff was very, very potent, and I think this is what we have to do in the future. People have to learn the importance of stressing plants, or the female plants, and once they understand, more about the basics of this, it's a very simple thing. Well, it's supposed to be a weed. How hard can it be to grow a weed? And people have to lose their fear of getting high. Because like you said, there's no danger here, and especially when I tell people to stay away from the sativa strains, to use strong sedative indicas, because they're by far the best for medicinal use. But, usually when people take this extract, within an hour, or about an hour or so, they start getting a sleepy feeling. And the only ones that have trouble with this are people that try to fight it. And I tell people, I said, look, don't fight it. When the medicine is simply telling you to go lay down, relax, get some rest. And that's part of the healing process. It supports the healing process. So don't fight it. Just relax, go with it, enjoy the ride. It's not going to harm you.
Daniela, you're right now in the middle of you're making a research on your own?
Actually, I did interviews in Slovenia, in the Netherlands last year, but I'm planning also to do interviews with people who used cannabis and who have been healed. Hopefully in Canada, in States, Chile. maybe India. I decided to write my thesis about cannabis medicine, because I think it's a very important subject. I mean, it's a very important subject for all of us, because unfortunately disease is a part of our life. I mean, and the other thing is, this is a very important subject right now, because we're not talking about only about the medicinal healing, or healing abilities of the cannabis plant, but also we are talking about human rights. For me, as an anthropologist, the most important thing is to learn more about the human experience, how people experience the disease and the healing process.
How cannabis changes also people? Did you notice any of
Well, I have to say, unfortunately, I didn't meet these people before and after they cured, because I had a chance to talk to them after they already used cannabis. But most of them told me that they can actually look at their life before the disease and after. Because they said that cannabis actually, when they started to take cannabis extract, that also affects their inner world. One thing is on a physical level, that the cannabinoids are helping just to get your body into balance, and the THC itself kills cancer cells. That's one story. Something else is that cannabis is actually, it can give you this inner peace, that you're not under so much stress. You need to understand that if a person has been diagnosed, for example, with cancer, and the doctors are giving very bad prognosis regarding the end of this disease, and his future, it's a lot of stress. So a lot of people told me this helped me to deal with disease and this situation that I found myself. It helped me to deal with this, to stay in peace with myself, although this is happening and like the person is sick. And also a lot of people told me that they changed things in their life. They changed lifestyle, they changed their diet, they changed their way of thinking. Some of them started to do some yoga, they started to go to the nature for a walk, or even start to do some meditation or some other.
What they eat too.
Yeah, I mentioned this.
I find the change, like a lot of people when they start taking this medicine, they don't believe it in the beginning. But then they're shocked when they start finding that, oh my God, it's working better than anything else that they've ever used. So that leads a lot of people into starting to question the system and starting to try to find out more about medicine themselves. And I'm very happy to see people go down that route, because this is what we need, more real knowledge. But it doesn't happen with everyone. Some people really don't change their lifestyle, they just go on, and it's really, this is the reason they got these diseases to begin with. So, but I'm happy that there is a good percentage of people that it does change them, and they do wake up.
There are several reasons, what can cause the disease. It's not always our fault. We can say, okay, it was our fault because of the very poor diet or a lot of stress, but also toxins that are surrounding us, toxins in our environment, GMO food, and there are so many different things that can affect our health without even our knowledge. And so we are not responsible every time.
Are you still motivated to do this work?
This plant saved my life, and I'll always be motivated. But, apparently, it's going to happen. There's no stopping it. The governments are trying to prevent people and, let the pharmaceutical industry take care of this. Well, to me, that's nonsense. I've always said that in the end, this plant will set itself free. And where we provided the world with all this information, grow your own plants, here's how you make your own medicine, and anybody can do it. So what's happening, it's almost like we gave this horrible system we have, like when we come out with the truth, it's just like you gave the system cancer. And now, the truth is slowly devouring it. But, I would hope that this will speed up, because there's too many people suffering and dying for no reason other than greed. We got to bring this to an end as quickly as possible. So, I just, if anybody could disprove anything I've been telling the public, well, by all means, please do it. Because, what I see today, all they're doing now, these scientists, all they're doing is verifying what I've been screaming for 15 years. and that gets frustrating. And, a lot of people say, Rick Simpson is angry. And when I look at these audiences that attend these events, every one of these audiences, they've all lost family members that shouldn't have died and shouldn't have suffered. Why aren't they mad? I'm mad because of my cousin's death in 1972 and all the other damage I've seen them do to my family members. They should be angry too. But, but they sit there just passively, as long as they're going to be passive, the government's never going to change a thing. They have to get off their asses and do something.
You have to go out of this comfort zone.
Yeah, get out of your comfort zone. Save your life.
Daniela, what are your plans for the
Plans
future?
regarding, I hope I will be giving lectures. I hope I will finish my thesis. I don't know what my mentor would say right now.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know, just 2 years ago we established this publishing company, so we are selling Rick's books. And we travel a lot, so there are really at the end of the day I'm thinking about all these things that I really wanted to do and accomplish, but sometimes simply I don't have enough time. So I really hope that I will organize myself in a different way this year so I can finish my research, so I can write my thesis. And I would also like to publish this as a book, because my intention is not to do this research so that only my professor and my mentor and a few professors from the university would be reading this. The goal is just to spread the knowledge.
My goal is always to bring this medicine up to its highest healing levels. And actually I know how to do that. But the trouble with me is I want to provide this to the public at a reasonable cost. And I think like $10, I don't think any cannabis extract should cost more than $10 a gram. So if you have cancer, it would cost you like $600 for a full cancer treatment. That's something people can afford. But the problem is, you see, the people that have the big money to invest that could make this happen, they don't want to sell it for $10 a gram. They want to see it out there for $100 a gram or $150. It's crazy. Anybody that's ever grown cannabis on a large scale would have to realize, how much medicine you can produce off a very small piece of land. This is not an expensive medicine to produce. And I look at the medicine as just being like a byproduct. You make you take the medicine off it, you have the seeds. You can, with what's left, you can make fuel, or you can make hempcrete. There's so many uses for this plant. So I just look at medicine as being one of the byproducts. And like I said, this medicine should, in reality, in any world where people are suffering, should anyone be dying over money? When we can provide a plant like this that can save their life and ease their suffering, this has to come to an end. And people do need this medicine, and they need it at a reasonable cost.
I had an interview last year here in Slovenia with one young woman. She was diagnosed in 2014 with glioblastoma. So this is one of the most aggressive cancer rate. Police came to their house. He was growing, Tjaša's husband was growing cannabis in their own living room. Of course, this is a very young couple, they have 2 children, they simply didn't have the money to buy the oil again on the black market. So they just decided we'll grow cannabis in our own living room. At that time, her husband's case was still on the Slovenian court. And it's happening everywhere. In Croatia also, we have a case with this young guy who was diagnosed with MS. I just hope that he's not going to end up in prison.
Well, I don't see how they can. He was diagnosed with MS back in 2008?
Yes.
And then he came to a lecture of mine in Apatia in 2011, and he produced some of his own extract, and he had dramatic results. But some judge has found him guilty of, he wasn't found guilty of trafficking. He was just growing the plants he needed to make his medicine for the future. And now this judge is saying that he should go to jail for 2 years. It's the judge, I don't know who the judge was that made this declaration, but it's the judge himself that should be sent to jail for 2 years. All this man did was use something from nature to help him with a very, very serious illness. But now he's a criminal because he was wise enough to help himself. What kind of world do we live in? I would advise anybody, don't buy this trash from these companies. Make your own, grow your own, make your own, or go to someone I don't care care what any politician says. I don't care what any doctor says.
Yeah.
I know what I've seen with my own eyes and what I've experienced. And like I said, that plant saved my life, and it saved the life of a great number of others worldwide now. That's all the proof I need. I don't need the opinion of some politician.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
talking.
You're welcome. Thank you, dear.
Thank you.